With that said, let's look at the agenda for today. First up, we have two important announcements in our corporate update. Second, Lynn Harrington will join us to cover expanding opportunities in connectivity and integration services. Third, Todd Bailey will deliver an overview of Scribe's developer releases. And fifth, we will brief you on upcoming industry events. Then we will close with Q&A covering the questions that have been posted in the meeting. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, we'll try to be as thorough as we can, so please do fire away with those questions. If we do have a question that's a little bit too involved to answer on this forum, we'll respond via email for you. So let's jump into the next slide here. The corporate update. First up on the agenda is our EMEA expansion. We have an exciting new announcement around an EU data center for Scribe Online. It's going to be based in Germany. This really answers the question of why of data governance within a lot of these projects that we deal with. We have quite a few requirements for location-driven mandates, and that really is going to help us qualify for projects within the EU. What we're doing here is trying to set up infrastructure that helps us expand even worldwide potentially as we see more and more demand throughout the world. We'll look for us to make further announcements about expanding these data centers, but this is the first one. This is the most important one to us. We have quite a bit of business in the EMEA region, and so having that data center really answers and puts to bed those data governance questions that are key in cloud deployments in today's business environment. Secondly, Scribe continues to accrue industry accolades. For the second year in a row, Gartner has ranked Scribe in the Magic Quadrant for Enterprise Integration Platform as a Service, or IPaaS. The Gartner review highlighted our developer productivity and time to production ranking. In addition, Forrester named Scribe as an IPaaS leader for dynamic integration. Both of these are very, very important to us. I think they're a great objective opinion of the value of Scribe. We constantly highlight the fact that we are a time to value product, and this just really underscores that marketing approach. So with that said, let me introduce Lynn Harrington. She's going to talk about expanding your opportunities.
Great, thank you, Greg. Thanks everyone for joining. I just wanted to create a little context before we move into aspects of this that I think everyone is really interested in learning about regarding tools and resources. When we started, for those that are on the phone that actually have been with us quite a while and worked with our on-premise product, when we started to plan for the development and launch of Scribe Online, we always had a vision that we would continue to offer a true application with a user interface that would allow non-developers to deliver great integration solutions to their customers. But we also planned on providing a platform where true developers could then take what we have for functionality and really expand upon it, build upon it, really take it and run with it. And what I think is really exciting is not only have we addressed that group, the development group, in addition to the non-coding group, but we're seeing a group that sort of fits in between. And I think that we are doing a lot of really innovative and exciting things to address the needs of that group. And what do I mean by that group? There are folks out there that their full-time job is not that of a developer. However, they are, and I'm sure many of you were on the phone today, you're an advanced consultant, you might be a PowerShell power user, you're somebody who although you don't do it full time, you like to maybe do a little bit of coding on the weekends, and you'd love to be able to create some productivity tools for yourself or create a nice little widget for a customer that would just make their experience with your solution that much better. And I think what we're building out here is something that is really provides that kind of capability for each of those personas, if you'll call them that. And so I wanted to just share, whoops, I hope I hit the wrong, I hope I hit the right button, okay. I just wanted to share what we're commonly seeing. So we're starting to see some partners really take this whole idea of a platform and use it to their advantage. And I wanted to share the areas that we're seeing that and give you some tangible examples in case it's some that some items or ideas that maybe you all haven't thought of. So the first is that if you look at our marketplace right now, we have about 60 to 65 connectors listed in the marketplace. But actually, if you look at our back-end database, you would see that we have another 40 to 45 connectors that aren't in the marketplace, but are installed and implemented at specific customers. And that's because we have partners who will basically build, I won't even call it a connector, but they will build the connectivity to win a project, and they're only going to use it for that one customer. We certainly have plenty that are doing that. The next level is we have VARs and systems integrators that have an expertise in a particular vertical or with a particular application, maybe outside of the Dynamics world, and they have built a connector, they put it on the marketplace, and they use it to drive business, to drive leads to them. They may offer it for free, or they may put a price on it. So we do have some connectors that are an additional charge, or it drives you to them and you buy more of a solution from them. But it's a way that they can establish their name and some expertise out there, and again, it drives leads to them. People that are using Scribe Online or get to our website can see that that there is a connector there, and it puts them in touch with that particular partner. The third level of investment we're seeing around connectivity coincides with a new a new program that we've just launched. This year is really a pilot year, but you're going to see more and more of this. And it is around connectors that third parties build that Scribe will actually sell. To our reseller partners, to customers, that connector is going to look and feel like a Scribe connector to them. They're not going to even know the difference, really. However, so it's a pretty extensive program as far as validation and commitments around support and documentation and things like that. But it does put more tools into our sales reps' hands. They can sell it. And again, it's going to be generating a new revenue stream for partners and get them the ability to generate service revenue as well with those customers or with maybe some of our ISV partners that leverage those connectors and still need consulting services around that. So that's what's going on around connectivity. The other area that we're seeing some great innovation is with our web API, and this is in the area that we're calling integration services. So we have some scenarios where people could simply just add a feature to Scribe Online instead of waiting for it. And an example I think that maybe a lot of you would be familiar with is actually something that was done internally here at Scribe, but people got tired of waiting for a lookup capability, and so they created what they called the Scribe Lab Lookup Connector, and it's one of our most heavily used connectors. Perfect example of something that probably someday we are going to, or not probably someday it will be in the platform. It will be part of the integration services offering. But rather than waiting, build it out, and it's something that you can use to just make your customer projects go much easier. The other area that we're seeing investment is around productivity tools, and it may very well be that these are only ever used internally, but we see lots of partners just doing basic development around productivity tools. And to give you a couple of examples here, one example that we have is a partner that actually has what they call it almost a discrepancy report. So they have something that looks at the metadata between two systems before they do a migration, and then it produces a document that can be handed to the customer to say, hey, these are the fields that have to be, it's almost an audit, right? These fields, before we start to map out the migration, these fields need to be addressed and aligned or accounted for in some way. So just a great generic tool that really streamlines the process so that they are making migration more profitable for themselves. Moving from sandbox to production. Somebody here was telling me that they've made this recommendation to several partners because it's really somebody, again, who uses PowerShell or even our Swagger doc. It's one API call really to just set something up that you could use over and over again with multiple customers so that you could streamline the process of moving from sandbox to production. We then certainly have we have partners, but in particular our ISVs, or what we call SaaS provider partners, in addition to implementation partners that are using the web API to actually build something much more extensive where a customer will never interact with the Scribe UI directly. They will interact with Scribe through maybe their own application. So we have ESPs like IBM or virtual meeting partners such as On24, Inexpo, and others. And some of their customers, again, never interact with Scribe. They actually work through the application and may answer, a series of questions in a form that is presented or on a page that's presented within that application. And then that's what drives the creation of the maps. And eventually those maps, of course, drive the integration. So those are just some examples of ways that we really think that partners could start to really incorporate the platform into new offerings, in addition to new services. And my cohort, Todd in particular, is going to share, I think, some even more exciting ones that provide some new opportunities for you. And there are already some ways that you can get started by using some of the samples and examples that are on the DevPortal. And Todd's going to talk about the DevPortal.
Sounds good. Thanks, Lynn. You actually queued that up very nicely for kind of what are the possibilities with the platform. And probably if I was on the other side of the phone, I'd be like, well, how do I do that? So we came up with the DevPortal earlier this year, and what we wanted to do is come up with a one-stop shop, an area in which you can get all of the information on how to expand out the platform. We had this information in several different areas before. We wanted to consolidate this, plus offer some new templates and new tools that would give you the ability to do what Lynn was just talking about. And some of our partners have submitted samples that exist here as well, and we'd encourage you to be a part of the program as with her. I'm going to go through the website directly and give you some glimpses into some areas that I think are of particular interest, and then I'll give you a demo of a couple of the tools that we've come out with. So without further ado.
And Todd, you bring up a good point. I didn't say this specifically, but for all of the items that you're going to see here today around developing around the platform, we have programs to support anybody that's developing on the platform. So we certainly can, for those that are interested at the end, I'll provide my email address. You can contact me and I can provide you with information. It's also included in the DevPortal, which Todd's about to show.
So the DevPortal is very easy to get to, so it's dev.scribesoft.com. We want to keep it very easy. Really, it's a place that, and don't let it, intimidate you that it's only for developers. I really think of it as an innovation center. Really, it's all about innovations, whether you're a developer or whether, as Lynn was describing, a business analyst or PowerShell expert user, that you could actually use this to, get more out of the platform and expand. So one of the areas I like to point out is the Scribe 101. Scribe 101 is really meant for a developer, and it speaks through the developer's kind of, how they look at the system. It gives a very easy way to understand without marketing necessarily, about the value proposition. Talks about the different components in the big picture, how things fit together. So it's a good place if somebody's not familiar with Scribe to get started with Scribe 101. It's very quick and easy to read. And as I said, it's not marketing focused, it's focused on the end user. The other area that I think is pretty good overview is the portal overview. Goes through and tells you some of the things that we think are pretty important for you to get started, really being successful on expanding out the platform. The tutorials and guides links back to our success portal, which gives you, exact guides on, how to develop a connector, training opportunities, learning opportunities, etc. So, it's a great place to, jump off and start watching the training videos. The development trial account is on our sandbox, and this is unlimited, and it's free for anybody that signs up. This allows a developer to use Scribe Online in a safe environment, and they can play around with it, try out new things without impacting both licensing on production, but also gives you a safe area to carry on. That's free for anybody to sign up. We encourage everybody to sign up, and that way you have your sandbox account. You can also, at times, take a look at new advanced features in the sandbox before they're actually in production. So something to look forward to there. Next is our success community. It's something that we launched late last year, and we've had a lot of success with it, not to coin the word with it, but we've got more and more developers and tech-savvy users jumping into the community, asking questions, getting questions answered by other peers. So it really has become a social area in which you can get information, find information, and both our developers are involved, but also our customer success team is watching over this. So you might get an answer from me, you might get an answer from Nate, who I think many of you know. We're all there, and it creates this great documentation tool as well for areas that you may have questions. We've got extensive documentation integration samples. I'm going to go through a couple of those today. We've done our best to really document these to make it easy to understand and to adapt these samples to your own uses. If you have questions, obviously the community is there to kind of back you up, but definitely take a look at the documentation. The whole site is searchable, so there is a central search on it. So if you're looking for anything regarding, for example, an agent, you can simply just search for the word agent. It's both going to search for our help, but also on the portal itself. And then lastly, we've implemented GitLab, which is, developers know, it's used in the industry quite often. And what it does is it provides us a repository for all of those tools to be able to download them, share them with others, and I'll show you what that looks like in a second. So the documentation is one of my favorite areas. Here we've got documentation on both the web API, which enables you to orchestrate or implement solutions which control the platform. For example, resending executions to implementing solutions as what Lynn was talking about in that DevOps example of migrating from sandbox to production. The SDK is really our new term for what we used to call the CDK, which provides you with connector development plus the fast connector framework tools. And then the webhook support is what we've added here, and really this goes to the discussion of allowing you to implement webhooks and also to implement any kind of messaging from a third-party system, for example, Marketo or Eloqua into Scribe Online that triggers maps. You can also do request-reply maps. The sample projects and tools. This is where we've started to document, and I'm going to get into some of these tools that we're making available to you. One was our first 101 reference application, and this is a reference application that shows you how to implement our web API and actually monitor the platform. The next one that we did and we released publicly is our Google Docs app that we've made available that you can actually rebrand and use to document your solutions. And then we've got others, the full reference app and the webhook harness that is available here as well. So take a look at those, start up your trial, and you can take advantage of them. So the GitHub repository I talked about, here's a quick view of this. Here's where you could actually get the SDK, which includes both the software development kit that has the CDK, the Fast Connector Framework, and the Fast Messaging Framework, has all of our reference applications that we've talked about, and also has some other interesting tools as well. So one of the things I brought up was the Scribe Labs documentation, the Google Documentations app. I've got an example of it on my screen here. We released this out. We've got instructions on how to download this. You simply click on the link and you make a copy of this spreadsheet into your own Google Docs repository. Once you do that and you sign in and you authorize it, you'll get a new tab that is called Scribe, which provides you the ability to enter in your credentials, and it'll go ahead and document your solutions. I'm going to do that real quickly here. Once you hit submit, it's going to connect to the platform and actually pull back any organizations that you have access to. So here you can see that I've got access to a number of organizations. I'm going to stick with McGowan Maine Bike Tours. And I can actually select either one of these solutions that I want to document. And once I hit submit, it's actually sending an API message over to the platform saying, tell me about the solutions, tell me about the maps. Behind the scenes, you can see that it's actually creating tabs for each one of my maps, and it's documenting those maps. So you might say, well, this is interesting. Why is this useful to me? This might be good for sign-off at the end of a project that we're always looking for, to prove the work that you've done. It might be the ability to provide yourself with an audit of an implementation after the fact, or that call that happens always, a couple of weeks later of, something's broken, something changed. You could rebrand this, certainly, for your own logos, and have that as part of your package that you sign off. So there's a lot of possibilities here. You can also customize it. So if I go up here to Tools and under the Script Editor, this is all public. You can update this, and you start to see how this is put together, and you can customize this to whatever needs you have. Even if you're not a developer, this is pretty easy to do and kind of tweak along the way. As you can see, it's pretty documented with telling you what each section of the application actually does. This whole application is approximately 737, but it's all documented, so it's very easy to negotiate and change things around. We welcome you to take advantage of this, make this your own, offering whatever you want to do with it, or take this as a starting point to create your own application, as Lynn was describing as this might be the way in which how you manage executions. It might be how you manage the life cycle of maps. So a lot of possibilities here. The next application that we recently released is called the Managed Service Console. So this is a little bit different. This is actually a JavaScript and Bootstrap application that you can just download onto your local PC and run. We also have a link to our DevPortal that you can just run it from our DevPortal. But here again, very simple. You can actually look at the source of this, and the source on this one is 54 lines long with some JavaScript support. Very easy to update and to make changes to this if you wanted to. What this allows you to do is a quick look at all of your agents, all of your solutions, and then to delve into those directly. So I'm going to connect to this as well. Once I click on agents, it's going to look across all of the organizations that I have access to and pull up the status of my agents. So here I can see that I've got 2 organizations that I belong to, McGowan Maine Bike Tours, and then the replication of production to data warehouse. And I can see the agent status, and I can see the last contact. So I could normally log into Scribe Online and see this, but this gives me a different view of the same data in a different application. Very easy to implement and customize. If I click on solutions, same sort of thing. It gives me a listing of all of the solutions that I have access to across all of my organizations. I see the solution type, I see the status, and I see the last run. So the last area is the focus, and this allows you to focus on a specific solution. Here I'm going to focus in on the update for CRM leads to sample system, and below it's actually going to pull back execution history for me. And here I can see that I've got 3 executions that failed. I can drill into one of these executions and actually see the row errors that are related to that. So instead of, again, logging into the application, navigating to the organization, this is a faster way in some respects, for some teams to get to supporting those implementations after the fact. So this is just an example of some of the reference apps and the other examples that we've got on the DevPortal. Please take a look around, take a look at the video that we have available on the homepage. And if you have any questions, please let us know. I'm going to turn this over to Mike for a product update.
All right, thanks, Todd. A lot of great looking stuff there. I always love looking at the stuff you guys are doing on the core side. And we're working on the connector side. Similarly, been very busy. We're always pretty busy on the core side. And I want to share with you guys some new features. Todd started out with the success site we have up, some new connectivity that we have out, some new connectivity we're working on. So let's look at a couple of those right now. To start with the success site, we've added a new section to the success site for release information. It's a big tile on the main homepage. When you get there, you can click on it. And we've been very good about putting our release notes out there. That we put them out there as soon as we can, as soon as they're ready, which is anywhere from a couple of days to a couple of weeks before the actual GA happens. So you can get a pre-look at them. They're in chronological order. You can see them in the list, and you can see on this screen on the right, this user is following the release information, so there's a follow button if you're not following it, and once you're logged in, you can follow and get all of our release updates so you can keep up to date with what we're doing. So that's been a really nice addition. Our documentation team's been keeping up with that and doing a great job on that. So some of the new connectivity we've been working on, we recently have come out with some Amazon S3 and Redshift connectivity. So you probably saw that on the introductory slide. I don't have a slide for that, but I just want to talk a little bit about what it is and what we're doing with Amazon now. As a first pass, we're using S3 and Redshift to really attack a use case of moving data from many of our connections. You can really connect to the idea is in the S3 connector, you choose a source connection that you pull metadata from so that you can easily generate a file in S3 that looks very much like the metadata. So you choose a Salesforce connection, you choose your S3 folder, and it'll create a file that looks just like a Salesforce account in your S3 directory. It pops some metadata up there. Then in conjunction with that, it's its own connector, but we have a Redshift connector that really works in conjunction with that to pull that data out of S3 and copy it into a Redshift table. So it can work very quickly and get large amounts of data out of S3 rapidly. And we've recently updated that to also include merging. So the original, you could copy the full table. And now we have the support for merging data in from an S3 file into a Redshift table. So that's been a great new release we just came out with in the last month or so. And then the really big news, what's coming up now, kind of in conjunction with Todd on the core side and the connector, we're coming out with hierarchical data support in the core, which maybe you've been hearing about. It's coming out very soon, the next month or so, next few weeks. And it is, along with that, an XML connector to take advantage of that hierarchy. So what's happening in the core is we're adding support. Previously, connectors passed a data entity into the Scribe core. That data entity had to be flat. So if you were connecting to an application that had hierarchical data, you had to have code in the connector to flatten it out and present it to Scribe in a way that Scribe liked it. Now Scribe can deal with the hierarchical data structures. There's no more need to restructure that data in the connector, either source or target side. So we can handle both sides of that. So that's going to make connector development much nicer and many applications a little easier to connect to and a little more functional on the connectivity side. What it does mean is the connectors do have to take advantage of it. So out of the gate, we're coming out with the first connector is going to be XML. That's going to take advantage of it. We're also working on a couple of internal connectors that are using it as a first pass, looking at implementing it. So the XML connector, just to give an idea of what how hierarchy is going to work, and then look at it in the context of, this is just generally how hierarchy is going to work. We are doing with XML, and it's kind of in that context. I'm just having a little bit of a problem pushing my next slide. Not sure why. Pushed on. Oh, here it goes. Just a little bit of a delay there. Okay, so what we're looking at here is just the hypothetical hierarchical setup of an order with, say, ship to address and multiple items. In this example, it would be a single address, single ship to, and multiple pieces of information under the item. And in the UI, you can see at the bottom of the screen there, what we've done is we've added a way to expand each node. So you can see the item node has a little expandable browse button, and that would show you the next set of properties underneath the item. The ship to is a single item underneath ship to order. It's a single property, a single node, so it's not expandable. So you're going to see this new kind of interface when you start looking at hierarchical data structures within the Scribe interface. And that's going to apply on source and target. So it helps you define how you're going to structure the target as you create a hierarchical XML file and how you're going to consume it. With XML in particular, our first release is file only, so it's going to be based on local file. It's going to be for on-premise agents. We'll be adding to that in the future as we move forward to add in different ways of getting those files in different places that you can post those files and services and using the hierarchical structure to do various types of calls and connectivity.
And if I can just join in, Mike, that's a perfect example where, for those of you that have used our Fast Connector framework, now that we support hierarchical data, we are going to be able to go back and take that framework and make it, really expand it or make it even easier for people to build very quick connectors to REST API. So that's one of the ways where the core platform is adding functionality that's going to make it that much easier for somebody who's not, again, a developer by trade, to be able to build maybe just some quick connectivity using the Fast Connector framework.
Yeah, good point, Lynn. Thank you. And then, so once you've set up the structure of the hierarchy that you want to create, I should mention also with XML on the we are expecting an XSD that helps define the schema. So that will be that allows you to access these features within the connector for hierarchy. Once you've set up the structure, you will have in the UI, this is what it will look like. There's now a sort of a new create block. It's called create with, and it's a container block like you've seen with some of our other blocks. And you see it starts with a create, and then there's a commit at the bottom. So you're going to do this create with, and sort of everything within that create with block is going to be the call to generate the hierarchical message, whether it's XML or you're calling out to another application. Within that container block, you're able to do really any operation. You can call out to other applications, grab data, do other kinds of calculations, whatever you need to do within that container block to build up your message and create it. Within that, you will use add blocks when you to actually add a node or an iteration of a node. So if I'm adding 4 line items, I might have an add items right at the point where I want to create that next line item. So that's sort of what we're doing with with hierarchy, and from there I'm going to toss it back to Greg for upcoming events.
Thank you, Michael. So today's agenda really highlights our developer-focused tool set, which enables custom connector development and embedded deployment of our technology within a verticalized application. And that's just to name a few. I want to emphasize our approach in making integration very accessible and easy to use. At the same time, I should also underscore the complex developers tools highlighted by Todd, Lynn, and Michael today. Hopefully you've seen quite a bit of evidence of that. And I'm hoping you're getting into our portal here and asking us questions while we're on our presentation today. So let's move on to upcoming events. One thing that I want to that I missed out on earlier in the presentation, I want to be sure I circle back to here is for those of you who are certified for Scribe Online and need to renew, time is running out. Watch for another email this coming Thursday. Again, this is for the folks who are already certified on Scribe Online and need to renew. You have to renew once per year as a certified partner, and this is your time to get that done. A coupon for free Scribe Online certification test expires on the 25th of this month. So that email will have links to that coupon code for you to use. We want to make it as easy as possible for you to be able to quickly recertify and take your test and get that behind you. So upcoming events: Microsoft Inspire in Washington, D.C., July 9th. This is the new show that Microsoft relabeled from WWPC. We'll be an exhibitor sponsor at that event. SFDC Midwest Dreaming coming up in August for Chicago. We're a platinum sponsor and a Demo Jam sponsor. Microsoft Ignite and Envision Customer Party. That's in Orlando. I believe that's in October, but don't quote me on that. It says date to be determined there. Dynamics Communities and UG Summit. That's mid-October, October 10th through the 13th in Nashville, Tennessee. We're a platinum sponsor with speaking session. Hopefully we'll see you in person at one of these events. We're always trying to support these community events and industry events, both by having a booth or a table, and there's always staff on hand to visit with you and answer questions and maybe talk through your strategies around integration. So again, I want to thank you for your time. I appreciate all the patience and attendance. Let's take a look at what questions we have now. Got one. We haven't built connectors, but we have a vertical solution that uses Scribe Online. Can we put that in the marketplace, or is there someplace else to put it? Lynn, you want to take that one?
Sure, Greg. So right now, the Scribe Marketplace is where we promote connectors, and it's both in Scribe Online, and then, of course, we have a connectivity page on our website. We do plan in the future, it's more of a 2018 initiative, where we will have a marketplace that would support solutions as well. However, if you do have solutions that you've built, you should definitely contact your partner account manager at Scribe, or you can contact me. I can work with you, or I'll put you in touch with the right person, because there may be ways that we can still work together. There are activities that we could engage in jointly to promote your solution to our partner community, other partners or customers, if you've got something that would be a really good fit. So, so keep that in mind, and then there'll be more information coming about some of the future things or future offerings and marketplace additions that we'll have to support the solution and the promotion of solutions.
Thank you, Lynn. Another question: will you be sending details out on how we get signed up for the developer portal and access to our sandbox? I can probably handle that.
Yeah,
go ahead.
why don't I? Yeah, I'm going to put my email in the. Let me put my email here, and I'm going to push it out. And anybody
you have to send to all
that has questions, yep, can send to all. So feel free to send me an email, and I can provide you with information on the Connector Developer Program, and also, you know, again, put you in touch with the right people if there's some additional follow-up discussions that we should have.
All right, here's another one. If my company develops a connector for Scribe, do I also get to decide its cost on the marketplace? So in other words, they develop their own connector for Scribe Online, and they're going to sell it through our marketplace.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. The publisher is in control of the pricing. We certainly would make recommendations based on our experience and what we have found, you know, the market is willing to bear, but that is totally within their control.
Okay, and are there fees associated with the development program? That's Maybe Todd?
Well, actually, there's nothing for the developer portal. It's a free resource for Scribe. Anybody's welcome to use it. Lynn's program, I'm going to defer to her.
Yeah, so there are programs, depending on whether you list in the marketplace or if you have one of those connectors that becomes a Scribe resell, there are fees associated with that, and that is included in the connector developer program information that would be sent out. And so for those of you that are interested, I'll send you that information, and it includes all of the costs as well.
Just to kind of circle back with that, using the tools like the reference apps, for your own purposes, there's no cost to that. That is just a value add. The Google Docs that I showed you, take a look at that. That's free as well to make adjustments and change and use however you want. That's just a part of your product licensing.
Absolutely, no charge. We would love to hear though if you take one of those and you do create an interesting, offering and deliver it to your customers. We'd love to feature you in an upcoming newsletter or some other, again, activity where we can share what's going on in the channel and potentially give you exposure if there's some cool tools that you're developing.
Yeah, I think that Google Docs tool is really an example of how we're trying to make a consultant's job easier. I mean, if you just think about that Google Docs approach, you can very easily build at least an integration overview and use that in your statement of work, for instance, when you're still in the sales stage with a client. And as Todd mentioned, very, very accurately, document what you actually delivered post integration. So we'd love to find those types of innovations that certainly go to that category of helping a consultant get their job done and get it done well. It helps put us into that category of favorite tool because every consultant has a favorite tool in their toolbox, and we just want to be one of those tools. So I think we're pretty much done with questions, and so we're going to wrap up here. Again, I want to thank you for your time and invaluable attention. I really appreciate your support of Scribe and want to be able to count on your continued support of Scribe. So please do let us know how we're doing. Please send us an email. Please contact sales@scribesoft.com if you have any follow-up questions. We will be sending an email out with some of these links that people have been asking about, like the links to the DevPortal and that sort of thing, just to make sure that everyone got the message on that. All right? One last question popped up here. Are there any updates to Insight in the near future? Who wants to pick that one?
Right now, I think the next update is going to just include the latest. It's going to be the latest adapter releases that we've done over the last few months, as well as some hotfix roll-ups. We're still looking at what things we want to attack after that.
All right, and that's all the unanswered questions I've got queued up here. So again, I appreciate the audience interaction with questions and your time. So thank you very much again for supporting Scribe.